Thank you very much for watching, and welcome to another Nerd Nation review. We're doing a massive review today. We're doing a review of Discovery Season 3, the whole season, because there's a lot to talk about. Episode 13, the final episode of the season, came out yesterday. I hope you've all seen it, because everything we're talking about from the first to the last episode will be full of spoilers. I'm here with my fellow Trekkie cousin Cheeto. How you doing?
Peace and long life.
Wonderful, mate. So let me quickly pull out my list. I've got a nice little list here, which I pulled off from IMDb of all the episodes. So the very first episode was called That Hope Is You, Part 1. Now, Michael, as we recall, because I'm really happy to go back on the old grey matter here, Michael was obviously just come into the future. She's in the Red Angel suit, stuff like that. She has to make sure that, what was the name of that villain of last season, that AI villain? Sector or some shit like that?
I don't remember.
Control,
yeah.
Making sure that's being dealt with, seems it has, on this future planet, in the future, on this sort of Icelandic looking planet. And it was an interesting way to start the season. We get to see Brooke. Michael's totally on her own. This is the only, sorry, I apologize, that'll be the next episode we talk about, but this was the first episode. But before I even go there, have you enjoyed this season, hasn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I've loved this season. I mean, compared to the other ones, the other seasons, this is definitely a definite improvement on the past two seasons. I mean, season 1 and season 2 had its moments, but never to the level that this season hit. And overall, I don't think anyone can complain about the direction they went for this season, because they went back to Trek. And I mean, yeah, there were some bumps in the road, but it's not like it was anything that just was very critical. I don't know. Nothing stood out to me as terribly critical error. I mean, I really enjoyed this season.
Yeah, I'll agree with you. I actually think this is the best season of Discovery so far.
Oh yeah.
But goes without saying. Even though this was the best season, I still have my gripes with this season. Nothing is ever perfect. But nevertheless, if this is the sort of standard we're going to get, I will happily take dud episodes here and there for this sort of caliber, this sort of quality, to a degree. It's not, it could still be better in some areas. But nevertheless, I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this ride we're going so far. I'm liking the rotating captains, as we obviously had Michael Burnham as the captain in the final episode, so she'll be the captain for season 4. But in this season, Saru's the captain. We get to find out a little bit later. But the first episode, we end up on this Icelandic planet. We get to meet Brooke as well. We get to find out, and this is what bugs me a lot, like the Andorians and the Orions are kind of got this sort of unity. But really, we got to see fuck all of any of that. We hardly saw any Andorians. We hardly saw any fucking Orions. And yet they're supposed to be controlling this shit. I think I recall maybe seeing a handful of Orions, a handful of Andorians, nothing to warrant them controlling sectors of space. But this was the first episode. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah. First episode was good. Set the right precedent. I mean, it was definitely a Michael Burnham-centric episode, but I mean, it was just her and Book, so it made sense. And yeah, I really enjoyed a lot of parts of that episode. I enjoyed them discovering more about the Emerald Chain or introducing the Emerald Chain in the first episode, and just it went along. I thought it went really well.
Yeah, likewise. I thought it was a good start to the episode. They had these guns. They had these guns that look like...
You were stuck on these guns, I swear to God.
But I just feel like if I had one of these, I'll be doing a Jimmy Hart impersonation, the whole bloody time, mate, because they just look like massive megaphones. But nevertheless, I just wanted to see more of them, and yet the only time we saw them, I believe, was in this episode, which was a bit of a shame. So, we go on to episode 2 called Far From Home, and unfortunately, there's no Spider-Man in this episode, but we do get to see pretty much the rest of the crew play a part and get some character development in this episode. With no Michael Burnham, she has a bloody week off because she's pretty much centric to everything else. And I just want to say, I might sound down on Michael Burnham, but I'm stating the obvious. You know, a lot of people say that she's too centric in everything, and I totally agree. But I do like Michael Burnham. I do like her a lot. I think you can't. She might have been a little bit dislikable at first because she came across a bit cold. They made her a bit too Vulcan-y, but they've humanized her a lot over the last couple of seasons, and I do believe she's a lot more likable than she was before. And I like Michael Burnham, and I would like to see more of her. But nevertheless, this episode doesn't have her in it. It's Far From Home. It's the Saru being a captain sort of episode. Getting to see him in that captain's role. He hasn't been officially declared captain yet, but we see him in the role. We get to meet the cowboy, your favorite character in Star Trek, Bob. And
Boba Fett? What?
No, the cowboy. You know, the geezer with the grey hair and stuff. He's supposed to be a cowboy, but he really isn't. But this whole episode had a Western vibe about it. It's like a mining town in the Old West and stuff like that. You felt that?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit, yeah. I mean, I felt that, but...
You know, I always found it weird that they're so far in the future yet. Some things were still very today. Like sitting on chairs, eating off tables, drinking from glasses. I mean, surely in a couple of thousand years, they could... sorry, about 1,000 years or so, 1,500 years for us. Or sorry, just over 1,000 years, 1,000 years, 100 years, 1,100 years. They could do something, you know, a bit more different than that, surely. No?
Uh-huh.
And do all aliens in this universe follow similar routines? They like to go to bars, they like to have drinks, they like to have meals around the table, stuff like that. Do all aliens do that? It just seems to be a very common thing for aliens to do in the Star Trek universe.
I mean, I guess, yeah.
We got to see Giorgio being a badass in this episode, got to see a bit more of her. And I mentioned that she would be the necessary evil. But you like this episode, Bob? Give me some more of your thoughts on it, man.
I mean, it was a good episode. There was no Michael Burnham. At this point, I was burned out, literally, with Michael Burnham. So it's like, I was glad that this was an episode focused on, you know, Tilly, Saru, and then Giorgio as well. They're like the main characters outside of Burnham. So, you know, it was nice to see them and get some shine. And just, you know, I thought I liked the vibe of the episode. And yeah, that's about it. I mean, it was a good episode. It was definitely the episode that made me think that this season was going to be turning up. Like, it was, the last season was not just a one-off, or last episode was not just a one-off of being good. And as I said, it's nice to not have Burnham around for a bit.
Yeah, well, she did actually end up in this episode because
for like 30 seconds, but
they had if I recall, they had a moment where they had to get back to their ship before the ice. But you know, Discovery's landed on this planet, and when it comes into the future, and they have to get back to the ship before the ice covers it all and stuff like that. And they managed to get some, you know, repair stuff. You know, they repaired one of their important things in the ship in order to help them get the fuck out of there. And obviously they get back and they are getting frozen. But Michael Burnham comes along, and what does Michael Burnham do? She saves the fucking day, baby. And she saves Discovery too. I bet you love that.
whatever. I mean, whatever. It's the Michael Burnham show.
Okay, so episode 3 was pretty cool because now Discovery and Burnham are reunited. We quickly understand a little bit about the burn. We found that out in the first episode, and we got a little bit more about it in the second episode. Like a dilithium. Like I said, I was getting Mad Max vibes, Mad Max in space, but without the dilithium being the fuel, which is what Mad Max was all about. A world with no where people would scavenge for fuel. That was the most important resource. Okay, so in episode 3, we go back to Earth because they've got the spore drive, and they immediately go back to Earth to see what's warning, if you know what that means. So we get to see Earth. Starfleet's not on Earth. Starfleet had problems with these pirates on this planet. On the who basically harbor themselves on the moon of Saturn, called and the planet and the moon is called Titan. And we get a bit of a diplomacy angle from this episode because we get to see Discovery making amends between two factions, and that faction happens to be Earth and Titan. They've been fighting over shit. They have shit for each other that can help each other, and that's because of Discovery. But unfortunately, Starfleet is no longer with Earth. Earth is said fuck you to Starfleet, and
And the Federation.
And the Federation, and they're keeping themselves to themselves. What do you think?
It is one of my favorite episodes because it kind of genuinely caught me by surprise. I didn't think that Earth. I thought them going to Earth, they'd see Federation headquarters and all that, and I was pleasantly surprised to see that they did the ballsy move of taking Starfleet off of Earth. The Federation headquarters left Earth, and then Earth has its own Earth Defense Force. I'm actually a bit sad, and I know we're going to get into this later, but I'm a bit sad that we didn't see more of the Earth Defense Force this season, or at least I'm visiting Earth again. I didn't want a whole episode around Earth, but like it would have been nice to see Earth again and see them interact with the Earth Defense Force again, just because a lot of the crew members are from Earth.
Can you keep talking, Bob? I'm just putting my microphone in. You're right, I didn't put my microphone in, my proper one. I'm using the one of my webcam. That's why I sound a bit shitty. So keep talking.
All right, so, but I mean, I really feel like this episode again, it surprised me, and it put this episode really surprised me, and it made it so that it was original and unique, and they did the ballsy move in this one, and they really did a good job at kind of doing something different. Because if you would have asked me at the beginning of the season, I would have said, well, of course Earth is still a part of the Federation. That's like the home base. And I wouldn't have ever have thought that they would have, undone the Federation at all. So, it was a nice surprise. Plus we got our human Trill person. So yeah, I babbled for a couple minutes, Sam, so save me.
No problem. Okay, so we get on to the next episode, and the next episode is about Trill. I'm just looking for my phone, wherever that may be. But the episode is where we get to go to the Trill home planet. Because, in a way, like the Enterprise, Discovery is basically trying to find where Starfleet is. And they're picking up the breadcrumbs, starting off with Earth, and now they're going to the Trill home planet because the Trill was supposedly they were part of the Federation prior to this, but then they weren't, and they're coming back again. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I probably dropped my phone on the floor. So we get to see the Trill home planet. We get to meet Adira. I sound the same?
Yeah, you sound the same. Pretty kind of muffled a little bit.
Yeah,
Are you sure that your microphone is going through stream?
Put it in. I just didn't change it. Okay, now I've changed it.
There, much better. Much better.
I do apologize. God, I sound so amateur at the beginning. I do apologize.
Dude, you sounded really. I was like, oh God. I was like, what's going on? And I was like, well, I let it go for a little bit, and then I'm like, no, something's wrong. So anyway, what did you ask me?
We're on the Trill home planet. We get to meet the Trill.
Yeah, I mean that was fun. I mean, it was good because it was a nice throwback when they went down into the pools, to the what are they called? The Trill pools or whatever. Where
I want to take something back. I do apologize. We meet Adira in episode 3. She's a human being, and then we get to find out more about her in episode 4. The fact that she's got a symbiote, her boyfriend, Gray, all of that shit. That was this episode.
I still call shenanigans on her having a Trill. I think there's issues biologically because they just said, well, we just, they could have said, well, with the advances in medical technology, we were able to adapt the symbiote into a human, but they didn't even say that. They just said, well, the host had to accept you. And it's like, or not the host, the symbiote has to accept you. And I'm like, that's a bit much. Like I thought there was, in the 24th century, I thought there was biological reasons why humans couldn't have a symbiote, or any other race could have a symbiote.
Now, we had this debate when we did the review of this episode, and I recall telling you that evolution was the reason. Like we had Trills who were constantly around humans, interacting with them, having relationships with them, maybe even fathering children or mothering children, shit like that. So what I'm basically saying is that the evolution after 1,000 years or so, however old this Trill species is, this symbiont is, there's a possibility, especially with a connection as well, like a physical connection too with that person, that you throw some of the Star Trek jargon and bish bash bosh.
Okay.
A symbiont can survive in a human being.
Yeah. Okay.
No, you're not buying that?
No, but it's okay. I mean, it's not an irrelevant argument. I'm just saying, like, evolution. I mean, 800 years from Nemesis timeline. I still don't think enough evolution would happen where they could adapt. I mean, I see where you like they're breeding together. I just don't think there would be enough breeding together to make that much of a difference. But you're right.
Talking evolution. That's what I'm
but evolution takes millions of years. It is not something that happens over 1,000 years.
No. We're talking about it from a human Earth perspective. It's Trill evolution.
Sure.
And then boom, it's a different evolution, baby. Have you not seen that movie Evolution with
Oh yeah. I love that. That is one of my David Duchovny and Orlando Jones, Julianne Moore, Michael. I love that movie. That is in my top 5 movies of all time.
Yeah, it's a very funny film.
I love it.
I wouldn't put it top 5, but a very funny film. Definitely.
Oh yeah, no, I love it. You can ask Wesley. I mean, he knows. I love that movie so much. David Duchovny is a national treasure.
Well, now after a little bit of treasure hunting to find Starfleet, we finally find Starfleet. This is episode 5. It's called Die Trying. And we get to finally see Starfleet for what they are now. They seem to be harboring themselves in space with no planet nearby. And they've got this whole setup. They've got this sort of city floating in space, and you see a new Voyager and shit like that. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that very clearly, actually.
And then the name Voyager gets said a few times this season. Gets referenced a few times.
Yeah, we've also the USS Nog, which also makes they don't mention it by name, but it was definitely in the final episode. I saw it in the final episode of Voyager.
Well, some Trekkies were debating and making an issue that maybe they should have called it the USS Eisenberg. But just either way, it's a tribute. Either way, whether it be Nog or Eisenberg, whatever they decided to do, it was a tribute to that actor. So just take it.
Or it should have been the USS Nog, and then maybe they would have hailed him and said, "Captain Eisenberg, we need you to move to 0.0359 or something."
No, that's just too much. Just name the ship. You don't need to Captain Eisenberg shit. Just fucking name the ship. Fucking. either Nog or Eisenberg. That's enough, and either way is good enough. That's all I'm saying. So we get to see Starfleet. We get to meet Admiral Charles Vance, played by the actor whose name I can't remember. I keep forgetting, but he was in the Mummy movies as well as the Deuce Bigelow Gigolo movies. He's been in a few things. We get to meet him for the first time, and as you can imagine, in this episode, Voyager from the fucking future, from the past, time travel's been banished for all certain things. There's no dilithium because of the burn, and he's having an issue with the Emerald Chain. And these motherfuckers come along. He doesn't know what to believe. So it was interesting we were feeling the Admiral out here, understanding what sort of person he is. So how did you find this episode, Bob?
I liked it. I liked that it. Well, I liked the beginning part of it. I like them getting to Starfleet Command, Starfleet headquarters, Federation headquarters. I don't know what it is, but the HQ, and I like that we got to see all the new advanced ships and yada yada. I do find it funny that and I posted this in Nerd Nation Facebook, is that Admiral Vance has never, and I know this is later, but Admiral Vance has never eaten an apple. But in this episode, we see the flying rainforest, but yet he's never ate an apple.
Yeah, but that's because they use their own shit to grow stuff.
Replicate stuff, yes. They replicate it. They don't.
Yeah, you're right. They've got a flying forest as well at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that does make sense.
I just thought it was funny. Somebody brought that up. I mean, it's a nitpick on their part, but I was just like, I thought that was hilarious.
What did you think of the Admiral when you first saw him in this episode?
When I first saw him, I thought he was going to be a raging dick muncher, and I did not particularly take to him. But as the season went on, and I mean, and he kind of made the hard choices in some instances and even lightened up a bit. I liked him. I mean, I'm not going to lie. But this first episode, I was like, I like the character, but did I like, he was kind of like Chris Jericho. Like, you love to hate him. I thought that's what he was going to be. He was going to be like a friendly antagonist for the Discovery crew, when it actually turns out that he's going to be one of the biggest, the biggest supporters of the crew by the end of the season. So,
well, we got to meet what's his face, David Cronenberg's character, who looks very human, very 21st century in his outfit, wearing a shirt, tie, jacket, glasses, for fuck's sake, in the 31st century. But we meet him, and
he likes that classic look.
Well, him and Giorgio have a battle of wits, and he's very much interested in Giorgio because he's been studying the Terran universe and the people and all of that shit for a long time. And he outsmarts Giorgio, which is pretty cool because Giorgio feels that her brain is just as strong as her brawn, and she enjoys putting people down. She enjoys verbally destroying people. She'll never get over that. I think hopefully that's a trait she'll take into her own show, that she's just ripping on people all the fucking time. I want her to keep doing that. But Cronenberg puts her in her place, and it's fascinating. And then we get to see other sides of Giorgio as well. Like, she's constantly phasing, or not, when I say phasing, she's like motion, like, later on we see her, she's just staring, gawking. And Michael's wondering what the fuck, but that does come into play a little bit later, which we'll bring up. But seeing Cronenberg, seeing the holograms, all of that, cool for you?
Yeah, I mean, that was fun. The Battle of Wits with Giorgio was, of course, a lot of fun. I was hoping more from that character. I was hoping for more from that Cronenberg character. I was hoping for more from that character this season. I was hoping
a little bit at the end, which was nothing at all.
Yeah, I mean, like, I was kind of hoping it was like some version of Section 31 in the future, or some. That's what he seemed like he was like the leader of. But
he ended up being like a Diana Troy, like a counselor almost. He felt more like that. Well, like, when I say Diana Troy, but
you're gonna have to explain that one for me.
Well, in the sense that No, you're right. Sorry. But he seems to be like a very good interrogator, a very good person when it comes to analysis. And sometimes Troy is good at that as well. She's able to read people, literally, their emotions.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
I see the correlation there, I guess.
Which is why I probably jabbed, nothing to do with maybe trying to make people feel better about themselves, but definitely trying to literally figure out what their true intentions are, which is what Diana Troy was always able to pick up from people. And she had like Jedi powers. She was able to do that fucking across spaceships and shit, man. She didn't have to fucking be next to them, which was pretty cool. So that was my particular correlation. But let's move on to the next episode, shall we? This was called Scavengers. Let me quickly read this episode.
I mean, while you're reading about it, I mean, I remember this episode pretty clearly. This was more of a side adventure episode. Discovery just got in good graces with, and this is one of my issues with the Michael Burnham thing, is that she just got into the good graces with the, or Discovery just got in good graces with the Admiral and everything like that. And then, of course, she even gets Burnham even gets first officer, so she's his number one. And then she has to go off and do something like this. It's typical, like you can't even let it sit for a little while. Like Burnham's just got to do something rebellious. And as I said, outcomes aside, it's still like, they didn't even let it sit for a little bit. Like they were just like, all right, well, this next episode, she's just going to go on her own with Giorgio and to go rescue Book and from the scavenger planet and yada, yada, so on and so forth. And I don't know. This episode in hindsight, like this episode was kind of fun when it aired, but in hindsight of the whole season, this one was probably one of the low points for me. The only thing I did like is that we got to see more of the Emerald Chain. That's it. Like, that's all I liked about it. We got to see a little bit more of the workings of the Emerald Chain. But honestly, other than that, it was just like, yeah, like, okay, Burnham's just going to go do her own thing. She's got to establish that she's a bad girl and she's a badass and she's going to go and she's going to do whatever she wants. And she's going to take Giorgio with her because they're the badasses.
Okay, well, we're going to get into the next episode now. I had to give myself, thank you very much for filling in that time. I had to remind myself what the episode was because it's been a while and there's a whole bunch of Star Trek shit and some episodes become a bit of a blur. This was the episode which was like Running Man. Remember when I told you about Running Man with the heads exploding and shit?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
This was this particular episode. You see, Book, apparently... Your Book knew somebody on this planet and it might help them with the burn and stuff like that. So Book went there.
Oh, yeah, and the burn. Oh, God.
And now Book's been taken, is being kidnapped. Obviously, Michael hasn't realized yet, but she loves Book. She just hasn't come to terms with it yet because she's willing to go AWOL and break the rules again. To save Book, and she tries to buy some time. She gets Michael to help her. I believe they use Book's ship. Is that correct? They have Book's ship.
Yeah, they take Book's ship. But
so Book got captured without his ship. Remind me, how did this happen?
I don't remember. Book. They sent Book. Remember, that's the one where Book's ship came out of warp or slipstream or whatever it was, and then
yes.
And then the cat's on the Queen is on the view screen or whatever.
No, we get to this rust bucket planet, and they've got all this old school Starfleet shit. And when we even on this in space orbiting around the planet, there's a lot of smashed up, wrecked up Federation ships as well, if you remember.
Yep, I remember.
So this was a pew episode of the highest order.
Oh, yeah, it was. This was ordered by CBS by far. The pew episode.
I want to quickly say something that the previous episode 5, when we got to meet Starfleet again, I was looking forward to that episode and ended up being disappointed. Then this episode afterwards, when I saw the trailer for it and it looked like a Pew Pew episode, I thought to myself, oh, it's another Pew Pew episode. I'll watch it, but I'm not like gagging for it. I'm not looking forward to it. But after watching it, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I liked Giorgio's presence in this episode and how she was taking charge, and when it came to the infiltration and stuff like that, and she put Osira's nephew in his place every time, which was brilliant. I like the seeing of Ren, the Andorian, Ren, as well. We get to meet him in this episode. So it was pretty cool. It was a good episode. I liked this episode more than I realized I was going to, because I thought it was be a very generic action episode, but it was pretty good. So then, you got anything to say about that before I move on?
No, I kind of disagree with you. I mean, this episode was definitely the low point for me. As I said, it was as I said, besides getting to know the Emerald Chain a little bit more, it was actually more Discovery season 1 and 2. It felt like, it was nice that they were doing, what they needed to do. But again, they were going in service of the burn. And, it's the same issue of Michael Burnham solving the problem that multiple races and people couldn't solve in 120 years.
That's why she became captain at the end of the season.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, well, we are doing a season review.
I know.
And sorry, what I was going to say is I know, but this was, doing all of this in rescuing book helped with the resolution of the burn, and obviously the resolution of the burn was going to be done with Discovery. So
I just think they should have waited until future seasons to have burn episodes here and there sprinkled throughout, they just over the next couple seasons, and then maybe season 6 or something or at the end of season 7. Shoot, let's do that if they even make it that far. Let's be real.
Well, one of my favorite episodes of the season was this next one. I liked it simply because it felt like classic Trek to a degree, and it didn't have one single action scene. And if you can make an enjoyable episode of Trek without a single action scene, you're doing yourself a favor, in my opinion. This was Unification Part 3. Who knew the Spock story would become a trilogy? And once again, Michael Burnham has to play her part because she just so happens to be the sister of Spock. I bet you love that.
There's some of the best. As I said, I liked. I even said in our review, I liked this episode a lot. I didn't even mind that Michael Burnham was kind of in the forefront of it because it kind of made sense. But then they had to get Michael's mom involved just out of the buck-ass blue. And then Michael's mom shows up. And I'm like, what? Why? Where? No.
See, this season of Discovery feels like what the first 2 seasons should have been. It should have been daring. It should have been adventurous, different time, different period. And this season has done it. I mean, they have renamed Vulcan to Navarre, for fuck's sake.
That's another bold move. I mean, that's when they first said that, the planet Navarre, and they're like, we're not familiar with Navarre. And they said, well, that's the old Vulcan homeworld, old Vulcan and new Vulcan Romulan homeworld. And I'm like, what?
And it's fantastic. It's fantastic. And this is the boldness you need to take, because one of the reasons why I felt the 2009 Star Trek film was so good is it felt like Star Trek was going in a different direction, yet it still kept the familiar tropes of what makes Star Trek Star Trek. This is doing that now. Like, we're going in a totally different direction. No prequel bollocks. We're moving ahead. So far ahead, we're 1,000 years ahead. It's like next generation times 10. So this is great. So
keep in mind, it's only 800 years past the next gen. Just saying.
Okay, well, I'm just, but you know what? you know what I mean. Yeah. This feels like the next generation of the next generation now. We're like we're further ahead in the timeline. Lots of shit has changed. I'm loving this. I'm absolutely loving this, Bob. You know, so seeing these different factions, seeing the Romulans, the Vulcans, the Romulan Vulcan mixed race people as well, all having their say regarding is Discovery for real, and meeting Michael's mum as well, finding out that she's a ninja warrior monk as well. At least that storyline is resolved. So you have a problem with this. Michael's mum will always be lingering, and now we know where she is, and she's no longer the issue. And on top of that, Michael's mum, you know, as I'll mention later on, her name was thrown in in the final episode, in the penultimate episode, and obviously we see Navarre doing the end game moment. So she played that part, even though she didn't get shown much. She was only in one episode this season. You can't give her too much shit, dude.
She should have been on Earth. Let's be real. Like, I don't know why she wasn't on Earth. Like, why did she show up on Vulcan? Why?
Who cares?
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, why? Like, why? I mean, she's a human. Why did the Vulcans just automatically accept a human?
Look, I'm gonna go to my least favorite episode now. It's called The Sanctuary. This is where Book meets his brother. And they have all these like glowy locusts destroying their harvests and shit. Remember that episode?
Yeah, I mean, this episode, I didn't hate it, but this episode felt very Trek. It also felt very, I mean, it was very book centered. It wasn't, I really didn't feel like Burnham was in the forefront in this episode like she was in the last one. So I don't know. I mean, I didn't mind this episode.
You have a problem with that?
What?
With Burnham not being in the forefront?
No, I love the fact that Burnham's not in the forefront.
I have no problem with that either. I just didn't like the look of this episode. I didn't like everything. I didn't like the trees and shit they're walking around. I didn't like the guy's house. It looked like somebody's. It looks like somebody, like some sort of, you know, modern day home with its layout and shit like that. I didn't like any of it. You know, and then like the double praying shit, and they're using the empathic abilities to get rid of the locusts.
Yeah, that was a bit cheesy. I thought that was even a bit cheesy even for Trek, but I really, as I said, it felt more Trek than well, this episode and the last one felt very Trek. You know, it was nice to see this because
we get to meet Osira in this one.
Oh yeah, she did show up in this one, didn't she? Because Osira showed up at the planet.
She showed up at the planet, and this is where Detmer has another moment. She's over her PTSD, which was one of the issues in this episode, in this season, but that got resolved in the first half quite quickly, I believe, after a few episodes.
About mid-season, yeah.
Is when they had their. I think when Saru was. This was the season where they had the meal, isn't it, around the table and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just letting off their steam a little bit. I thought Detmer was a right asshole to Stamets, by the way. Even though they made up.
But she's not wrong. Like, Stamets is full-on Kirk Shatner. Like, I'm the most important person on this ship because I fly around.
No, I totally agree. But when she was laughing at the fact that he was dying and shit.
Oh yeah, no, that was bad. But
that's bad. I mean, you have an argument regarding him being up his own ass. Then say he's up his own ass. You don't mock him for dying. You haven't got a leg to stand on after that.
Yeah, you know? But I thought that was more. I don't know. I mean, that felt more like there was something.
That was to do with her PTSD, wasn't it? That was to do with. We also, by the way, in the first earlier episodes as well, was we kind of flew by this. We kind of also see during the earlier course of the season Saru's interactions with Tilly. Started off with episode 2 when he had Tilly by her side, and from that moment onwards, they were sowing the seeds of making her a first officer, which was interesting. So, but this episode with Book and his brother, not too happy with it. But I did like the fact with the subplot with Osira, and we get to see Detmer flying around in Book's ship doing her thing. I think the bit I liked the most was when the cat jumped on Rin's lap, and he goes, "What the hell's that?" His reaction to the cat made me laugh so much. Made me laugh a lot. But yeah, that was not my favorite episode, but it had some moments. I'll give it that.
And that's the thing I think we need to talk, like, just briefly talk on, is this season. Even I think every episode had great moments in it. Like, and I mean, there were some exceptional episodes, but like, I feel like every episode had something in it that was worth something to the plot and to the crew and to everything as a whole. And that's what you want. Like, there were episodes in the first and second season that didn't matter worth a darn, like, and that's one of the problems. This season, it felt like there was something for everyone in this season, and I felt like that was one of its strongest points.
Yeah, I agree. We are now going into the two-parter, Terra Firma, the Giorgio episodes. Now this is a two-parter, and I'm going to speak on it as a whole, both episodes as a whole. Yeah. So this was a very unusual episodes because it starts off in our universe, which is where in the universe and how we see Michael and everyone else. But the second half of this episode and the first half of the next episode are all in the Terran universe, and it's all with Giorgio. She's dying because she is not from our universe. She's from a parallel universe, and then on top of that, she's 1,000 years in the future. So it's affecting her being, and she needs to go back to her time at least, or at least if in this universe, a time closer to the time that she was associated with her universe. If you know what I'm saying. Yeah.
I guess. I still am very unclear whether she went back to her like the mirror universe 900 years in the past, or if she went back to the prime universe 900 years in the past.
When this episode ended with when we get to see the Guardians of the Galaxy, or what the fuck it's called again?
Guardian of Forever.
Yeah.
Guardian. God, I can't with this dude.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, the Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, Guardians of Forever.
Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah.
The point is, when he said to her that he would send her back in time, he would send her back to a time which is closer to this universe. Sorry, to her universe. He won't be sending her back to her universe because it's like that universe is not good for her. And I think the Guardian of Forever realized that, and he's been giving her a second chance. So he sends her back in time in our universe, and she won't die from her problems because she's at a period which would be closer to her time period, and that's when the Terran and the Earth universe and our universes are at the closest alignment. Are you with me?
Yes.
Very good. We get to see a lot of the cast being bad guys, which is pretty cool. Saru, though, he's never a bad guy in either universe. Unfortunately, it would be nice to see bad guy Kelpians, don't you think?
I mean, they make them out to be very subservient. And now, I mean, if they maybe in the Section 31 series, if Giorgio's in that, maybe they'll do a mirror universe episode where like Section 31 tries to breach over to the mirror universe for some reason, and then the Kelpian, like after Giorgio showed Saru that he could make it through the thing where they kill themselves, then all of a sudden there's an uprising, and then the Kelpians are going up, are joining the alliance, which is against the Terran Empire.
Is there more than one parallel universe in Star Trek?
The only universes that I know of canonically are the Terran universe, the Kelvin universe, and depending on if you believe the First Contact.
I'm talking parallel universes, not alternative timelines.
Oh, no, I mean, Terran universe is really the only one that I know of. If anyone in the chat knows, there's 6 people watching right now, so if anyone knows of any other universes, let us know. Please comment in the chat, because we like the interaction.
Yeah, that would be nice.
And also give us a like if you haven't yet. There's our shameless plug.
We get to see Michael Burnham being a crazy bitch in this.
It's so true, but it's so great.
We get teased. Sebastian Lorca, isn't it? That's his full name.
Who?
Sebastian Lorca. That's his first
Oh,
name, Sebastian, isn't it?
I just know him as Lorca. I didn't know what his first name was.
I'm gonna take a stab at Sebastian. That feels right for some reason. But
Okay.
I'll call him Lorca. We get teased. His name gets teased a lot, and I really felt they missed a trick with not having him in this season, in this episode.
Yeah, but Jason Isaac's a pretty big actor for him. I mean, for them to pay him to come in, I mean,
Why not? I mean, they got fucking Michelle Yeoh.
that's what I'm saying, though. They've got a
And
lot
Michelle
of.
Yeoh, in my opinion, is bigger than Jason Isaacs.
Well, but that's what I'm saying is that they've got. Then they would have too expensive,
We're talking an expensive and they had them both at the same time before, so they could do it again. And we're talking about cameo appearance here for one episode, or for 5 minutes, 10 minutes at max. Anyways, let's progress. So after Giorgio fucks off to save her life and shit like that. And by the way, did you enjoy those Terra Firma episodes in general? Oh, I apologize. He's just AFK at the moment. I want to quickly say that when it came to the Terra Firma episodes, I found episode 1 to be really good, but I didn't enjoy episode 2. I felt episode 2 needed to be. I think this whole episode 1, episode 2 thing needed to be just a 2-hour episode, because it just didn't work for me as 2 parts. I think the second part wasn't really directed well, because the passage of time that had passed, it was really hard to tell how much fucking time had passed. I couldn't tell. And next, like 3 or 4 months had passed and shit like that. And there's no real indication of that. We have a big battle at the end. Lots of the Terra Prime guys die. I'm not sure if we'll be coming back to this universe ever again, but we could still get back to the Terra universe in the 31st century. And the only thing it'll have is that anyone who's not, basically the Discovery crew won't come across anybody in the 31st century in the parallel universe, because they're not from that timeline.
Which honestly, I feel like that would be interesting. Like, you always have those parallel people that look exactly like, those parallel people. It would be interesting for them to just like develop a whole different like cast of people like that, from the Terran Empire, from the 31st century. And, I mean, you obviously want to see the evil versions, but we've kind of already seen all them, so I don't know. I mean, I really liked the first part of this. Second part of it, not as much, but I mean, the first part felt very Terran Empire-ish, episode-ish, whatever. The second part just felt more like Giorgio just begging Michael to be on her side, or to whatever, and just it didn't work for me.
Well, I do recall sorry, I apologize. The spear data, that actually became a big part of this episode, or the first part of the episode, by explaining to Michelle Yeoh that there is an alternative way regarding her condition, because Hugh and David Cronenberg, remember at the beginning they were arguing about her condition, that there is no cure, but there wasn't actually a cure, what the spear data was pointing out, but just an alternative, an option, and she can take this option, and she took it. It made us understand the spear data more, but the spear data itself became something that I wasn't really impressed with. And
I think it's a plot thread that just hasn't been explored. Like if they wanted to make it, I feel like they want to make the sphere data kind of a part of the crew, and it didn't feel like they did that until like the last episode. Like, and I don't even feel like it's a part of the crew. Like, the sphere data needs to be like, if it's going to be a part of the crew, they need to have these little roller bots and stuff like that, like around more often. You know what I mean? Like a Commander Data type thing. Like, it needs to be more present. It needs to, you need to see them more. in order to make them feel like they're part of the crew. And just the sphere data does, besides helping Saru out once, and then obviously this data information on what to do for Giorgio, that's really all the sphere data did.
Yeah. They didn't do fuck all.
Pretty much.
This was like the sort of filler episodes of the season, I guess, because what was so interesting about these two episodes, it had nothing to do with the overall arc of the whole season. But I like episodes like that. I like episodes which can be just bottled and contained within itself, and you can watch it any time without having to worry about not knowing what's happening next week. And these two episodes, well, if it was just one, would be like that. So we're on to episode 11 now. We're on the home stretch. The Citadel.
Or Sukal. No, there was an episode after that, wasn't there?
No.
Really?
There wasn't. Yeah, Terra Firma Prime. Sorry, Terra Firma was episode 10.
Really? Huh.
Yeah.
Well, I went back and forth about the name of the next episode because I saw the Citadel on certain things, but then everybody was calling the episode Sukal.
Yeah. It gave them two names. I don't give a fuck. Anyway, we find out that, I mean, this was from previous episodes as well, because this was like the bookends of the Terra Firma episodes, which were based in our universe. They kind of like explored these plot lines. We got to see another Kelpian, a female Kelpian, and she was pregnant because of the red dots on her head and stuff like that. And then with this information, they're able to find this Kelpian ship, and this is the ship they go to. No, I'm fine. This is the ship they go to, and with this ship is by a planet surrounded by dilithium. How could I apologize, not surrounded by dilithium, made out of fucking dilithium. How convenient is that, huh? A whole planet of dilithium is like, that's what dreams are made of. But if you mine that planet too much, it might blow up. No.
I mean, if you mine it too much, it'll fall apart. But I mean,
how volatile is dilithium? Like, how combustible?
I mean, but you've seen how much dilithium they need to run a starship. Like, it's not a lot, and they can I believe they can recharge. They can is not recharge, but like recrystallize the dilithium. But I mean, I've heard people say arguments that they could recharge the dilithium or whatever. The problem is that a lot of the dilithium in the universe exploded when the whole burn went down. So
okay. Nevertheless, they go to investigate the spaceship. Saru's very anxious because it's another Kelpian and stuff like that, and he puts Discovery in a lot of danger, and he's not really thinking smartly in as a captain, because he has his own desires and his own needs, and he wants to see this Kelpian more than he should be, when he should be more concerned about the worry of his for the concern of his crew. Nevertheless, who was it? Was it Tilly, or was it Book, or was it Michael who comes up with the idea of sending Book?
I think Book had the idea to send Book.
Oh, fair enough. My bad.
And then
by this time, Tilly's now first officer by now. So yeah. So Book goes.
Saru's assistant.
Yes. And Book goes and he finds some coordinates and stuff like that. A safe place, but this whole area is full of radiation and everyone's melting and shit like that. But they find the Kelpian ship. They get on board the Kelpian ship. Hugh does. Stammet doesn't want this to happen. He's worried about Hugh dying and shit like that. But what the fuck, Stammet? This guy is not like a stay-at-home doctor. He's part of Starfleet. Going on missions and rescuing people is what Starfleet doctors do. Am I correct? Yeah. Going into dangerous situations is what Starfleet doctors do.
Yeah. I mean, Stamets has to understand that. I mean, he was not going to be able to stay on board and not do anything. I mean, he's the chief medical officer.
Yeah, but Stamets will never understand that because he's a fucking engineer, and someone like him stays on board all the time, most of the time. You know what I mean? He's only ever used to maybe repair a bridge or something in some shit in some planet that needs some help. But even then, he's not in too much danger. He's there to repair shit. He's there to keep the ship going. There's no point in Stamets ever leaving the ship, you know, because he's there for the ship. While someone like the Doctor, you know, he has to be more I don't know, I can't think of the word, but versatile maybe is the only one I can think of right now when it comes to how he operates, because he needs to be on the ship, off the ship, shit like that.
Well, that goes back to the problem of him having his head up his own ass.
Fair enough. So all these fuckers, when they get on this ship, when they get onto the ship is basically a massive holodeck, and they've turned into different looking characters. Michael pretty much still looks the same. I mean, she's a Trill, but I mean, at one point I forgot that she was. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was probably just the actress being like, I don't want to wear any prosthetics. So they just like, well, we're going to put these dots on your head.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm the main character. I got to be badass, and I'm not wearing prosthetics.
Well, that's the funny thing, because Saru is just in a holodeck, yet somehow his body's transformed, and he's now walking flat-footed. How is that possible? Can holodecks do that?
In the 21st century, or in the 31st century, probably.
I guess. Nevertheless, he now looks like a human being, because for some reason, the holodeck reshuffles these guys into looking like other aliens, even though it makes no sense, because they're still looking like aliens that they could still be themselves. I just made no sense that they changed. I mean, you turned into a fucking Bajoran. Why? Just keep him human. If Saru's going to be a human, just keep him fucking human. Makes no sense.
I mean, I understand changing. I understand changing Saru, but yeah, I agree. I mean, it was kind of stupid.
No, I don't understand changing Saru. The whole point about him being in that ship was to eventually be rescued. Yeah? It made no sense to change Saru, one Kelpian being changed. Well, I mean, if anything, him remaining as a Kelpian would have been more beneficial, and it was at the end. Because when Sakal saw Saru, he was fucking happy as fuck. Anyways, I didn't like this episode. We get to see a ghosty, ghouly Kelpian thing holographic version. But you were always right about this season, is that even though when the episodes are shit, they still have good moments. Michael pretending to be a hologram was fucking brilliant. And that was
I agree. As I said, I mean, as much shit as I give Michael Burnham, I mean, this season she's been better. Like the writing for her, I don't blame the actress. For the writing for her has been better. She's not as in the forefront as she has been in the past. And although I still have issues with her being in the forefront for a lot of these episodes where she didn't need to be, I still feel like they did a better job this season about not making it about her until the end. But anyway, keep going.
Okay, so at the end of this episode, I believe we get to see Osira. She's disguising her signal as a Starfleet ship. Tilly's in charge of the ship because Saru's, doing the away mission. And unfortunately, even though Tilly gives her a best shot, Osira's experience and conniving nature meant that she was able to outsmart Tilly, and they were able to take over the ship. And when Michael's coming back with Book to try and get Discovery back, Discovery disappears, and the episode ends. It was a good little cliffhanger, but this also felt like a two-parter. It ended up feeling like a three-parter the way the last three episodes were. But it was okay, I guess. It was a good episode. It got things back on track. I started feeling we were coming to the end game, so to speak. Did you? at the end of this episode?
Yeah, I felt like we were getting. Well, this whole episode, I felt like we were getting into the end game. I mean, I was like, wow, we're 3 episodes out from the end, like, and we're already. And I mean, at this point, it would be 2 because it was the end of the episode 11. But I'm like, wow, we got 3. I was thinking at the beginning of this episode when they were started getting onto the ship and finding Sukal and all that other stuff. Like, I'm like, wow, we are definitely getting into the end game of it all. So.
Now, this next episode, when I saw the credits for this episode, I realized something, that every time I see Jonathan Frakes' name as director, I'm the most happiest man on the fucking planet. I love seeing Jonathan Frakes involved in everything Star Trek. And we discussed that. He is the, what's the name of the geezer? Joss Whedon? No, not Joss
Kevin
Whedon.
Feige?
Kevin Feige, yeah. He's the Kevin Feige of Star Trek. Don't you think?
Oh yeah, he's that. If they gave him complete creative control out of the Star Trek universe and basically made him the Kevin Feige of Star Trek and gave him the creative control to do whatever he wanted, I feel like the Star Trek universe would definitely have like a MCU feel to it. I feel like a lot of the issues that Star Trek has had so far, like as I said, this season's been a major improvement from from last season. But it's like, Picard, the issues that people have had with Picard, even Lower Decks has actually done pretty good. But
Lower Decks has been a breath of fresh air and fucking fantastic.
But I feel like if Jonathan Frakes was the Kevin Feige of Star Trek, we wouldn't have had, like, from the beginning, we wouldn't have had any of these problems.
Yeah, I agree. So this episode is the one he directs. This is the episode where we get some real political banter between the Admiral and Osira. This is the episode where the Admiral tells Osira that apple eating is made out of our shit. This is the episode where we get to meet the scientist dude, I believe, and he was played by an actor, Kevin Mitchell, who had previously played Klingons in the past for Star Trek, but because of a medical condition, he ended up being paralyzed. But I'm really happy that they are still able to use him, and he's showing his range now because he's always played Klingons or people in prosthetics before. Now he's playing a weak human in a wheelchair who is very compassionate, for people. Polar opposite to any Klingon he's fucking played. So he's showing his acting skills, and I'm very happy for him. In this episode as well.
Also, just a little
remind me this episode actually. Go on.
Oh, just a little tidbit. He played Captain Marvel's father in Captain Marvel.
He did?
I mean, he's probably only there for a couple seconds in flashbacks, but yeah, I was just looking up his filmography, and he's actually plays Captain Marvel's father in Captain Marvel.
Oh, fantastic! So he's in the MCU as well.
He is in the MCU as well.
What a G! I'm trying to remember how this episode culminated. Yes, we get to. I remember the Sphere Data introduce themselves to Tilly and stuff, who have managed to break away. Yes, they did the old tappy. Remember the tappy? That's what they did to get away from
the tappy. Yes, I remember the tappy.
Yeah, and that's what they did to get away from everyone. Oh, this is the episode where Rin dies as well. He gets obliterated right in front of Book's face.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty fucked. What do you think of this episode?
I mean, it was good. It was a good penultimate episode. I really enjoyed it. I mean, it was a good mixture of pew-pews and some good side character moments. We didn't get to see Saru or any of them in this episode.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of glad, because bouncing back and forth between those two things would have been a bit much in this episode. So I'm kind of glad they stuck with Discovery and Starfleet headquarters and all that other stuff. And the negotiations and everything. I'm glad they stuck with that and they didn't try to cram in anything from the planet, like the Dilithium planet in there, just because it would have been, there would have been like 3 or 4 plot threads in the entire episode, and that just would have been way too much.
Admiral Vance's negotiation skills was brilliant. because Osara wasn't lying. She had an ideology, but she wasn't willing to pay the price for it.
Yeah. And that was going to be the sticking point. I knew that. I was like, oh.
And yeah, because in order to make it look, she is a criminal, whether she likes it or not. She's used intimidating tactics and everything. And even though she wants to make things better for everyone, because she sees a bigger picture, because of all the heinous things she's done, she has to pay. And because she wasn't, this whole thing was going to be bullshit anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, I think she was trying to get out ahead of it too. Like, that's why I think she was trying to do all these negotiations. And like, I think she knew that that's what Starfleet will want.
Well,
so she made the offer so enticing, like abolishing slavery and all these other things. And I think she did that because she wanted to get out ahead of it and make him an offer up front that was so enticing that he almost couldn't refuse. And then she could just, be kind of absolved of everything she did, because she thought that they would cave so that there would be peace. And Vance looked at her and just basically said, no, like, you are going to, you're going to have to be tried for your crimes.
Exactly. And I did like that. And it made me really like the character of Admiral Vance.
This I definitely this was definitely an upswing moment for me.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to seeing him more. Now, I did call some things prior to the final episode. I did say that, considering since Michael Burnham was coming to Admiral Vance's life, everything she has done has been to the benefit of Starfleet. She's brought in, I mean, whether Earth does come back or not is another matter, but she's definitely sowed the seeds of goodwill with Earth and Titan. She's definitely brought the Vulcans back. She's definitely brought the Trills back. So I do apologize with that jingle, but yes. So, and in some of the even her AWOL mission, it was beneficial. It helped solve the issue with the burn. They solved the fucking burn. She solved the burn. So yeah, she's just too valuable. And I knew he would take a liking to her. I also knew that the burn was caused. I mean, after we found out that Sakul had caused the burn, I also knew that the trauma of his mum dying was the reason why the burn happened. I mean, I kind of hedged my bets on that. It felt like the most plausible thing, and
that just made sense. I mean, yeah. That was kind of a dumb moment.
But yeah, so we're crawling in now into episode 13, the final episode of the season, and we did do a review about that yesterday, and it is on our site, as well as all of our other reviews as well, if you want to see in more detail our reviews of those episodes. But this episode, it ended really well. It wasn't amazingly fantastic, but it wasn't down in the dumps either, far from it. But we had some good action scenes. We got to see more of the inside of Discovery, literally with the turbo lifts fight sequence. Michael became captain of Discovery at the end of this episode. They all start wearing the up-to-date uniforms, which look shit. Makeover. They definitely need a makeover. They need to put more of the yellow and less of the gray. Put yellow with a gray stripe, not fucking gray with a yellow stripe. Maybe they tried yellow with a gray stripe, but they look shit.
Yeah, these uniforms look really bad. I am not. I hadn't looked closely at them. I didn't look closely at them because like everybody else was wearing them. But I mean, these uniforms, the gray with then the color going down it. I mean, maybe if they were black with the color on the stripe, but I don't like the stripe going down the side. I like Admiral Vance's uniform. I think that one looks really cool. But it's like I think they only made that one uniform for Admiral Vance because that's a pretty nice uniform.
Yeah,
they didn't want to pay for the entire crew to have those nice uniforms.
I do feel like they need to get rid of the collars. I'm not feeling the collars at all.
Collars or colors?
Collars around the neck. I'm not feeling that at all. They need to scrap those. Then I think a solid one color, whether it be red, blue, or yellow, works better without a collar, if you know what I mean. I mean, when you think of collars, you think of shirts. Shirts traditionally tend to be white and stuff like that. or maybe grey and stuff. So to get rid of that more sort of office space look, because these guys are not fucking pencil pushers, they're explorers. Make them look like explorers. Don't make them look like they fucking should be working for an accounting firm, for fuck's sake. Get rid of those goddamn collars. I'm not a fan of them. But this episode overall was a good way to end. We had 3 story arcs. We had Michael Burnham basically restoring the data core and restoring life support for the rest of the crew. The rest of the crew trying to destroy the nacelle to stop Osira from escaping, and as well as we have the Saru and Sakal storyline on that planet. So there was some interesting moments. I knew Hugh wasn't going to die. I did think Sakal was going to die. I did tell you that was kind of right, because they are going to bench him, I think, for season 4. But I do feel that we're going to see him in season 4. What do you think?
I mean, we'll definitely see him in season 4. I'm glad he's not dead. I mean, I just kind of feel,
This is a good alternative. Like, this is
it's
this is a
definitely
win-win for everyone. Like, if Doug Jones wants to take a break from wearing prosthetics all the time, I don't blame him. At the same time, if he's still in the show and he's not killed off, so if he does want to come back, he can.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I'm like, I really do like the way they did it, only because I didn't want them to kill off. I really didn't want them to kill off any main characters this season. Like I feel like we've gotten to know some of them and yada yada, but I feel like I don't know. It was time for, it felt like, I don't know. I felt like it was time for some stability in the captain's chair, and that's why I was hoping Saru would stick around. But at least I didn't kill him off. So I'm very happy about that. I hope that he will return in the near future. But let's be real. This has always been about Michael Burnham's journey to that captain's chair. No matter how many times she commits treason or goes off on her own or does whatever, she was always destined to hit that captain's chair, unfortunately. And
I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that at all. She is 100% captain material. She is respected by her colleagues. She gets the job done, and she can take care of herself, and she's not intimidated.
But she's not respected by her colleagues. Like, I mean, Stamets, I get why Stamets is mad at her.
Yes.
I don't think Burnham made the wrong choice, but Stamets is mad at her. Tilly, on more than one occasion, has told Michael that she made the wrong choice.
No, I think
little Tilly has told her that.
Look, and Michael's not perfect, and she's got a good counsel around her. Stamets does respect her, but doesn't mean he likes her. There's a difference.
I don't know if Stamets even respects her. I don't know. I have a hard time seeing that with his character.
But it'd be interesting to see, because, like, it'd be interesting to see that sort of like triangle of people, how they interact, because obviously Hugh and Michael are cool. Yeah, totally cool. I mean, fuck's sake, Michael saved them at the end of that episode. And as pissed off as Stamets was, Michael saved them. She did everything. She saved everything. And Stamets is still holding a grudge. Obviously, the way Stamets got disposed of, it was hilarious. But I wouldn't have minded seeing Stamets in the action role for a second or two, seeing him getting his hands dirty, because we don't know if Stamets has got that in him or not. If you know what I mean.
One more time.
We don't know if Stamets can fight or not.
Oh,
we know Hugh can, because Hugh was throwing down with that fucking what's his face from season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think Stamets can. I mean, like, I don't think he's been trained. He's a scientist, and I know that Hugh's a doctor.
Mate, they're all scientists. They're all scientists.
Well, but now that we can actually see their colors,
even the chief engineer, even the muscle are scientists.
Well, and that's why it's interesting at the end of the season to see who has what colors, because I mean because I think now at this time, red is command instead of yellow, because back in original Discovery time, yellow was command, red was engineering and security, blue was science and medical. Now it's in this timeline, it's red is command, yellow is security and engineering, and blue is science, white has kind of always been the medical on this show, which is weird, but it looks like it just kind of carried over into the future, I guess. I don't know. Because I don't think Hugh was wearing a blue uniform. But yeah, I like the colors are so weird and the uniforms just look so bleh. I mean, I got drapes here that look like those uniforms right here. Right here, these drapes right here. See, I just put a color on it.
Oh yeah, I thought that was a uniform.
And then hold on, let me find it. Hold on, I'm command. I got it. I'm command now.
Nice, that looks really good.
I am a command officer of the 31st century, and like it just kind of drapes down and like whatever. It's just like ugh.
That's some pretty good cosplay you got going there, mate.
I got it, man. I got it. I'm command. I am Commander Burnham.
That's pretty.
Take command of the Starship Dorka Prize.
So, I do recall the Admiral telling Michael that the dilithium mining has now commenced. We need to get shit out to everyone around the universe.
Yeah, because they have to use this. The one thing we didn't talk about that we need to is Book using the spore drive. And we can get back to that if you want to continue with what you were saying. But before I forget, we need to...
Let's get it now. Get it off your head.
Oh, that's crazy. Like, I mean, I don't know how they managed that. They said that Book has some kind of connection to something or other. And can he just connect?
He's able to talk to beings using his empathic abilities.
So, but he can talk to the mycelial, like the fungi and the mycelial network? Is that what we're saying?
That's what they're hedging their bets on, yeah.
Okay.
So now...
they just kind of science
it. There's two people who can work the spore drive. Probably 3 in Book's brother as well. So...
So is Stamets going to die?
No. They're not going to kill off. And look, and trust me, I'm not saying this because it's coming from a bad place, because it isn't. It's just coming from a place that that I hear from my gay friends, is that they're fed up of gay characters being killed off. So there's no chance of, like the Doctor was, which is why they brought him back, which is why, same with Grey. Grey being the actor who plays Grey is a transgendered man, and what they do, they kill him. We're going to bring a transgender character and we're going to kill him. So this is something they're trying to start. Star Trek being the progressive show that it is to a degree, when they're not trying to be a fucking a wet bikini contest. They're trying not to fall down these stupid tropes of killing gay characters and killing off fucking transgender characters. They don't want to do that anymore, because it's a Hollywood trope, if you know what I mean. So, which is why Grey was back. Remember, actually, I'm glad you brought this up. At the end of episode 13, when they're in the medical bay, we see Adira, Hugh, and Stamets standing together, and we see Grey as well, with the black female doctor being checked upon. And obviously the ship's going to have hollow emitters everywhere, which is probably why Grey came back. Do you agree?
I mean, probably. Some holographic mumbo jumbo.
So Grey has died and now he's back. But I want to talk about this. Grey shouldn't be somebody who lives forever. He needs to be able to die naturally, like all living creatures. All living creatures eventually die, and Grey shouldn't be. Grey shouldn't not this sort of situation he's in, being a holographic projection. If that's what he is, he's going to live forever.
Unless they build in a manufactured lifespan. like
The only
cell
way,
phones and dishwashers and
no, there's only one way.
cars.
There's only one way he can die. If the symbiont dies,
Okay.
would you agree?
I mean, I guess, yeah.
But at the same time, he has already died, but he's coming back in another form, and he, I'm confusing myself. It's just so fucking, it's just so mind-boggling. So he's back alive again, even though, but he hasn't got a symbiont inside him. So is he the grey with? Is he this? What sort of grey is he? Is he grey without symbiont or grey with symbiont?
I don't know, honestly.
I mean, is this not like making your mind work? I mean, having to explain it. I do believe the re-emergence of Grey will play a part in the storylines next season, subplot storylines, something that might stretch over the course of a season, if you know what I mean.
I mean, I guess, yeah. I mean, hopefully that all these characters are going to go through their character arcs.
No, but this is what I don't get is Grey is a part of Adira, literally. But now Grey is not only part of me inside me, I can fucking see the guy too. Like, what the fuck?
Your guess is as good as mine.
And what the like? I found I rather they look. I didn't like the if I understand the not regarding the fact that killing off gay and transgender characters in television films is a trope, and they're trying to rectify that by just making the next gay or transgender character somebody you don't kill off. How about that? It's unfortunate they did that with Grey, but bringing him back right now just feels really stupid the way they're doing it. I don't know how you feel.
I mean, I didn't even notice until you said something, but I mean, yeah,
there's a can of worms here, man.
Yeah, I don't know if that's something we're going to get into in this session.
Is he not in the symbiont right now? Is he still in the symbiont, but somehow he's able to form a physical being in the real world? He's not even in the Trill swimming pool, for fuck's sake. This is so fucking bizarre.
Well, I guess we'll just have to figure out next season when they dive into it, maybe.
Maybe. And I am looking forward to next season. It has been greenlit, which I'm very happy to hear. Do you know when they're going to start filming? Have they started filming?
I don't think they've started filming, but
excuse me.
Hold on. I mean, you can keep going. I'm just
they have to somehow plan the season out in a way. Are they going to keep to tradition and have a different captain every season? Because they are so far sticking to that tradition. It was kind of two captains in season one with Lorca and Giorgio.
Well, Giorgio was captain of the other ship. Technically, there was only one captain of Discovery.
Yes. I'll take that back. You're absolutely right. So Lorca, Pike, Saru, Michael next season. Michael is definitely the main character of Discovery. There's nothing wrong in saying that. But will this changing of captaincy now end in season 4 and the next 2 or 3 seasons after that?
Well, and that's what I'm saying. It's like, I mean, this series has been all about Michael Burnham's journey to that captain's chair, and I'm pretty sure that's. I mean, if it was going to end on anyone, it would probably be Michael Burnham, which I kind of wish it was Saru, but I guess I can't get everything I want.
Well, at least it's really exciting now. Like, I'm really hoping that we can get some more classic Trek now with instead of like exploring strange new planets, new worlds. They're obviously delivering shit and stuff like that. But whilst they're delivering all this dilithium here, there, and everywhere, they come across shit. You know, god aliens.
You mean like apples?
No. That's very funny. But
Every now and then I have a good one.
I'm just saying that they just come across bottle episodic scenarios that can be contained, and it kind of halts their process a little bit, but nevertheless it's just something they have to deal with. Maybe they're in a time loop, maybe they start de-evolving. I'm just thinking of shit from previous episodes of Star Trek and Voyager and Deep Space Nine and stuff like that. Just some sort of scenarios, that just, it's got nothing to do with anything else other than them having to deal with a shitty situation that day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's
all it is. I want some of that. I want some of that next season. That'll be really nice. And it really does feel like, I can now this season has ended. I really do feel the clean slate now. Like next season, it really does feel like anything's possible, mate. Anything's possible. I'm really hoping for some traditional Trek next season. No massive story arc, no big boss at the end. Just a whole bunch of them going here, there, and everywhere, and just running into brick walls, into bullshit scenarios and unfortunate situations. And maybe some diplomatic situations here, there, and everywhere. All of this shit. Yeah.
I want to see, like, I don't mind them doing that, but I wouldn't mind there being like an overarching theme, but it needs to be, like we need to see some of these races that just haven't shown up. I want to see Klingons next season, and see what they're doing, whether they're part of the Federation or not. I want to see Ferengi.
Make that an episode. Make that, do all of that.
No, and that's what
do all of that, but what they're doing is like delivering dilithium here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah,
maybe they're delivering one with some Klingons, and whilst they're delivering shit, they're delivering dilithium to Klingons, and we see what they're up to. Maybe there's a small political dispute they need to deal with, and it could be fun.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's fine. I don't mind them doing kind of like the adventure of the week type thing, but it needs to be in service of like an overall plot, which is like bringing the Federation back together. I mean, yes, the Trill have rejoined. The Navarians are in talks now with the Federation. I'd like to see them.
I agree, but I want that somehow to be in the background. Like, we hear murmurings, we have a little bit of like details coming in from the Admiral saying, yes, things are going great with the Trill. Peace treaty's been signed and everything. Well done, staff. Well done, Discovery. Something like that. Knowing that things are coming together without us having to necessarily see these blocks being put into place. We just hear it, and we can just go on with the adventure at the same time. We can have monologues of Michael Burnham saying, 5 months have passed, and Starfleet now has 250 new recruits and new members.
You mean member races or just member people?
Member races,
250 in 5 months, dude. You crazy?
Well, they've got the spore drop, but I'm just okay. So I'm just saying for argument's sake.
In 5 months, that's like they'd have to recruit like a race a day. That's insane.
Okay, let's just say 150. Yeah. So
No. I want to see that stuff. I want to see, like, I agree with you. I don't mind doing like the race of the week where they go and they talk to them and they go like, oh, the Klingons have requested a shipment of dilithium, and as a good gesture from the Federation, we're going to give them some, and we're going to ask them if they would like to join the Federation. Obviously, and then they get there, and you're right, they have some kind of dispute. The houses can't decide how to split up the dilithium, so then of course Michael Burnham has to, with her checkered history with the Klingons, she has to figure out how to, divide up this dilithium between the houses and find a peaceful resolution before the Klingons start blowing stuff up. I don't know, and then you find out like that the Ferengi, they go to the Ferengi and they want to buy it, and they're like, no, this is a a free gesture. We just want to open trade routes. We want to see if you want to join the Federation. and but then you have disputes between like the I don't know, so like the Grand Nagus is like some Q or something.
Vegas.
Yeah, like the Grand Nagus is like some weird shape-shifting alien or something.
There's something you mentioned. My God, I'd love to see Q come back. Would
I
it
want
be
Q. I want the
be
Q
John
son.
Delaney, or would it be his son?
I want it to be his son, and I want it to be the same actor, like the same actor who played his son.
Yeah, but he'll be old enough now.
Yeah, and I know that wasn't that his real son, that John Delancey's real son in real life.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting to see John Delancey's son come in, and then at the end of the episode, John Delancey shows up and he's like, "Q, what are you doing?" He does the whole fatherly thing and says, "Why are you messing with this?"
Yeah, but Q can't look like an old man. Q's immortal.
Well, then you can't have him show up because John Delancey looks like he's aged. So
yeah, exactly. You can't have him show up.
CBS does not have the budget that Disney does.
No, I wouldn't want John Delancey to turn up just simply because he looks like an old man, and it ruins your sense of disbelief. So have his son turn up, and have Discovery have an episode with the Q. That would be fucking great, whatever it may be. You know what I mean? Maybe he makes the fucking dilithium disappear again. Just for one episode.
Or the Q, like maybe his son is, as I said, the Grand Nagus. Like he just decided to pop in as the Grand Nagus for the Ferengi, and he's like having fun. I think it would be interesting. I mean, because he can make himself look like a Ferengi.
Or however it may be, I would love to see the Q fuck with Discovery, and then having Discovery have to deal with it and stuff like that, and maybe get somebody else in the Discovery team outsmart the Q. Obviously, Michael Burnham would be what most people would be considered as the person to outsmart the Q. But maybe make it someone else. Maybe make it someone like Owo, who, by the way, became MVP of the final episode, I may add, by saving Discovery by having the ability to hold her breath, which was pretty cool. And we got to get to see more character development of other characters in Discovery, who we see their faces all the time, but we don't know anything about them. And there's a few people in Discovery still whose names I don't remember because we haven't seen enough of them. And
yeah,
I want to remember these names now.
I know. I want episodes with just these people. You know what I mean? Like an away mission goes awry, and then there's like 2 or 3 of these. Like you have like Gray and 2 of these other, like the and I'm sorry, but the Asian guy and then the black tactical officer.
Bryce. I think his name is Bryce.
I think you're right. I think Bryce is correct.
But the other guy, Philip. No, I'm wrong.
But that's what I'm saying. I want to see, like, you take one kind of major character and then you put those 2 with them, and then they get stranded on a planet and they have to figure out their way off, or there's something going on down there and they get stranded. And the majority of the interactions in the episode is between those characters.
I would like one where it was just maybe, like, remember when the Doctor had that episode in TNG where everyone was going through was disappearing on the Enterprise.
You mean like the horror episode? Like, or was it the horror episode, or was it? She ended up
she had to be the person to jump through that portal to be on the right side. Mm-hmm. But everyone was disappearing, and ended up the last 2 people on the Enterprise was just her and Picard. And eventually Picard disappeared too, and she was on her own. And then
I remember that episode, yeah.
But that was a solely Dr. Crusher episode. It was really focused on her and her paranoia, and she had some of the most fucked up episodes, but that was a pretty good one for her. Now you could put that Asian actor in that sort of scenario, just him, following it from his perspective, an episode solely on him, about him, and some shit going around him, and only he notices it, and nobody else fucking notices it.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, you got the episode like with Worf in TNG. He came back on the shuttlecraft, and then there's like all these different timelines or whatever. I don't remember the whole thing, but like
I remember we won that tournament.
Yeah, and then it kept changing.
The trophy kept changing from like 15th to 3rd to 4th.
Yeah, like these people need these kind of episodes, and you can't say that the TNG and Deep Space Nine was always just focused on the main.
War had plenty of episodes, mate.
Yeah,
plenty of episodes.
Geordi had episodes. Data definitely had episodes.
They all did.
Honestly,
Troy
I
had
feel like
episodes.
Riker had less episodes than Data and Worf. Like, I think Riker he had maybe I can remember the Pegasus episode, his transporter clone.
There was the troll episode. There was the one where he was stuck on the clone planet.
Yeah.
Sorry, not planet, with the kid and the holograms and stuff like that. That one. And he's had a couple of romance episodes as well.
Yeah, like in season 1, I remember he had a romance episode on the holodeck. And then the one with she's not transgender, but she's like gender neutral because she's like third gender on the. So Riker had some episodes, but I always feel like Data and Worf always had like the most episodes outside of like Picard, maybe.
And we even had like side characters, like Barclay had a couple of episodes.
Yeah.
You know,
and he was a reoccurring character. He's not even like a bridge crew member.
Yeah, but he was Dwight Schultz, face from the A-Team, and I think that's why they used him. You know, like for nostalgic value, that you got a guy from the 80s, you know, and you got Dwight Schultz, howling mad Murdoch. He played a really loose tongue, confident but crazy, but not disloyal crazy. He was loyal to the bone. And then you see him playing this whimpering idiot, as I keep thinking Charles Barkley, but it's not Charles Barkley.
No, it's well, it starts with a W, doesn't it? Reginald.
Reginald Barkley. And they kept calling him Broccoli for some reason. I never got the joke. You know,
because his name sounds like broccoli.
Yeah, but it doesn't. It's still. It's like it's stupid.
It's like 80s humor, like 80s, 90s. Well, 80s humor at that point. Like
it kind of seems immature for Starfleet as well when you think about it.
It does.
Yeah,
so it's very Orville, if you think about it.
Nevertheless,
it was their first attempts at humor on that show, and it landed flat on its face, in my opinion.
But all of the main cast had episodes. Obviously Picard had his episodes, so they all had episodes. And that's what I want to see now for some of these other characters. I want them to have some centric episodes on them. Like, when Detmer had the PTSD, there could have been some episodes with her about her cybernetics and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they could have done an episode like that. Just something. Just something.
I honestly feel like it would be interesting if we had like, and I don't want to make this like a romance that's like front and center, but if you have like, two of the main crew members having like a relationship, and I'm not talking about like drama relationship. I'm just like a casual relationship where they're just together. Bryce and Detma.
A lot of people are saying that Owu and Detma are more than just friends.
Well, and they might be, and you can have that relationship too. I think
they're very good. I think they're very. Look, if they are, I personally, I have no problems with them going down the lesbian relationship. But like how you have that term bromance, they're just a female bromance. They're very close friends, and I have those relationships with my male friends. Like I'm really tight with them. If I saw one of them coming back from almost killing themselves, I'd hug them too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and I mean, and that's what I'm saying. But it's like, we're kind of moving past the. Like, we don't really need much more relationship stuff from Stamets and Hugh. Like, we know that they're a couple, and I think we've kind of explored that. Like, they can just be a couple now. And
I like it. I like the fact that they are. I like the fact that we've got an established couple.
Yeah,
it'd be nice to have.
I'm not saying break them up. I'm just saying they're an established couple. Like,
yeah, but then we get to see those scenes like Stamets not being happy that Hugh has to go on an away mission.
Yeah, but I'm more talking about a new relationship.
Yeah,
I don't want it to be like main characters. Like, I don't care about the relationship between Michael and Book. Like, I really don't. I want to see Bryce
enough, Michael and Book is the relationship. Come to think of it, unfortunately, because that's the developing relationship.
I don't care for. Let me put it that way. I don't care for that one. Like, I kind of.
I agree.
I mean, if they have a long distance relationship, that would be fine. But I mean,
no way. Book's on that ship, man.
Well, then he needs to join Starfleet. I know he was standing there saying, "Hi, Captain," but it's like, what is he? Is he like?
No, he can.
Is he like the
Federation? He doesn't need to wear a uniform. I don't know, but we'll see next season. I mean, it's going to be interesting because just because you got to take that back. Just because he's in a relationship with Michael Burnham doesn't mean he has to fucking join Starfleet. Are you
No.
mad?
I'm not talking about the relationship. I'm talking about him being on the ship.
Okay.
Because Discovery is not a family ship. Like, it's not the Enterprise D. It is a science vessel. And I mean, okay, that's fine. If they were married and like that was her husband, I guess that would be fine. But Discovery is not a family ship. It is a science ship. And I mean, okay, if they had a long distance relationship and it was like, like they could see each other in passing or something like that, and he's not on the ship. But if he's going to be on the ship full time, I feel like he needs to be a member of Starfleet, whether it be a consultant or whatever. But he, throw him in a uniform. I'm sorry. Like, that's how I feel about it. It's not if it was a family ship, I could see them getting away with it. But Discovery is not a family ship.
Yeah, but he's not. Like, he has to go through the academy and all that shit, surely.
And you know what? Put him through the academy. I mean, he can look at. I mean, Wesley did it. Well, he did part of it on Enterprise, but I mean, I'm sure in the 31st century they can figure this out. I mean, they can give him an ensign role, and then like he has to, do certain amount of studying and stuff like that to pass the exams and stuff like that, and he can do it remotely. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I agree with you. He should go to Starfleet Academy, but if he stays as a consistent character on the show, not a reoccurring role, then if he's a main cast member, then he's going to be there every episode. They're going to get their money out of him because he's actually a pretty expensive actor, I imagine.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think he's the actor that I think they brought him in and they transitioned Michelle Yeoh out because they were transitioning that because it's going to be like the Kes 7 of 9 thing. Like they brought Book in and they were transitioning Michelle Yeoh out.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess. By the way, that one of the crew members felt like she just disappeared. It was the blonde-haired girl.
No, she was there. She had brown hair now.
Oh yeah, she's changed her hair brown.
Yeah, she used to be blonde and now she's brown. I just want there to be one morning where we see her like waking up in the morning and she walks up to the mirror or whatever, and she goes like, "I think I'm going to be a blonde today," and then it just it just changes. Like
Yeah.
not like it's not like a race like her race can do that because I think she's human, but it's like it's more of like like a technology thing. Like it's like instant hair coloring.
Yeah, I want to see more of this 31st technology. I don't think we got to see enough of it. Like it felt more like a futuristic waste universe than a more technological one. Like I said, in Star Trek Beyond, when they went to that space station, that looked the fucking dog's bollocks, mate. That looked the fucking...
Wait, what?
The dog's bollocks.
No. Where did they go?
To that space station in Star Trek Beyond.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were talking about Discovery still. Sorry, I missed the Star Trek Beyond.
Yeah.
Dude, that station was like, that was absurd.
But the point is, that was like 1,000 years or so before any of this shit. And yet that shit looks way more futuristic than this shit. And yet Discovery was more fucking amazed at seeing, a floating forest when they've seen shit like that in their time. They've seen cities, upside down from each other and stuff like that because they're in space. So everything's level depending from where you're standing. So I just found that a bit weird because those two images were popping in my head. If that was even though they're different timelines, it still looks more futuristic in Star Trek Beyond than it does in Star Trek Discovery.
Well, and it's on a movie budget, so I mean...
Okay. So, unfortunately, how many views have we got, by the way?
I don't know. I mean, we've had up to 7 people on. No one's in the chat, which is sad because I was kind of hoping for more engagement. We've had up to 16 people. We've had up to 16 people in the playbacks, but that could have just been people refreshing their screens or whatnot. I can't see the views until we end it. But I mean, if you guys, if any of the 6 of you, I know we only have like 3 or 4 likes. If you guys could just hit that like button if you haven't. We appreciate it. It helps with the analytics. It helps, with getting our stuff out there because we're a small channel. And I mean, we love talking this kind of stuff. And I mean, we've gone on for an hour and 45 minutes, so we have to like it.
Exactly. So, yeah, I've only been talking this long because of these guys. But nevertheless, it's been fun talking about all of this. But I think I'm done talking.
I'm good too.
Now, next on our review agenda will be WandaVision, which starts next week on Disney Plus. Just
And
in time.
Yeah, WandaVision's going to be this upcoming Friday, so we'll probably do reviews for that. We are going to have a 2-part fan film reaction to a Star Trek fan film that just came out the past couple months. It's a part 1 and a 2, and I can't remember the name. I was going to try to bring it up really quick, but I have to find it in my history. I think it's called like Pacifica, I think is what it's called. If you give me a second, I'll be able to find it because it's in my history. I just kind of checked it out the other day. Oh boy. I'll find it. But anyway, Zan, why don't you plug some stuff? Oh yeah, it's called Pacific 201, which I'm guessing is, I don't know if that's like season 2, episode 1, but it's a fan film that came out. It looks like it's part of the Enterprise, like late Enterprise time. I think it said in the description that it was 2299, so it's at the turn of the century for that. So it's like a good couple years after Enterprise was done, a good several decades before the original series started. So I mean, it'll be interesting. So that's it.
Okay, well, before we leave, please subscribe to us at Nerd Nation. We have this logo on our name because a lot of people have the same name as us. They also call themselves Nerd Nation. So to differentiate between them and us, just look for this logo. So when you go on Discord and look for us, you see this logo, that's us. When you go on Facebook and look for us, you see this logo, that is us. Please subscribe to us at all those platforms. We'll be back with some more videos soon. Thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day. Roberto, you got anything to say before I sign out?
Nope, we're good.
Very good. Live long and prosper. Can't wait for some more Trek, but we'll be back with WandaVision next week. Take